grade 7 learners, and welcome to another fun and exciting adventure together. Welcome to our English class. This is Mamutya, and I definitely gotcha! I got to watch your 3-minute videos, and it was really hard to choose from all of your submitted entries. But today, you will get a glimpse of some of the best video entries about ways to stop spreading COVID-19. So stay tuned and check if your video is included. Enjoy!
This is Francis Irvin Casino, and I am here to share with you some ways to prevent coronavirus. First, for kids like us, 21 years old below, we are not allowed to go out, so please stay at home. Second, always observe social distancing, yes, even at home. Above all, let us continue pray for this pandemic to end soon.
1. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. 2. Maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. 3. Wear a mask when physical distancing is not possible. 4. Don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth. 5. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze.
Now that compilation really showed the best of the best. Excellent work, class. You truly did great there. Congratulations, and thank you so much to all of you who accepted my mood challenge. Let us further explore the content of your videos. Now let's come up with the sentences that are connected to the tips on how to prevent the coronavirus from spreading. Take a look at the sentences on this table. He washes his hands with soap and water. His hands are washed with soap and water. The citizens use face masks and face shields for protection. Face masks and face shields are used by the citizens for protection. People always bring sanitizers and alcohol wherever they go. Sanitizers and alcohol are always brought by people wherever they go. Next item, the Filipino people follow the strict guidelines of the government. For the next column, the strict guidelines of the government are followed by the Filipino people. Even though the sentence pairs for each set are expressing the same idea, what's the difference between the two sets of sentences? What are the forms of the verbs in the first column? How about in the second column? Who is or are the doer or doers of the action in the first column? How about the receiver or the receivers of the action? What did you notice with their placements in both columns? We will explore more of their differences later in this lesson, which highlights the grammatical features and forms of voices in our verbs. Also, we will focus on points to be considered in transforming the active voice to the passive voice and vice versa. At the end of this video lesson, you are expected to differentiate the active and passive voices of the verb, transform statements from the active voice to the passive voice and vice versa, and use active and passive voices in varied contexts. Living in this modern world where social media surrounds us can sometimes become so toxic. If you commit one small mistake, people will judge you. For that one small mistake, your world can turn around, and worse, it can cause you mental and emotional stress that may lead to a breakdown. That's how people behave these days, and we need to address that particular behavior. Correcting someone should go through a process, and bashing is not the way to let that person know that he or she has committed an error. So today, class, since we all want to express ourselves freely in our day-to-day activities without any fear of what other people might say, or if you're planning to start your own vlog or YouTube channel, I would like to help you with some simple grammar tips. Prepare your self-learning module, your pen and paper, and today, I definitely gotcha! Welcome to my chat room, where you can reach me and I'll reply to your grammar queries. Let your voices be heard. Let's start with the voices of the verb, because actions speak louder than words, but harsh words can greatly affect someone. The voices of the verb focus on the function of the subject being either the doer or performer or the receiver of the action. They are classified as active voice and passive voice. The active voice occurs when the subject of the sentence acts as the performer or doer of the action, while the passive voice indicates that the subject of the sentence is the receiver of the action. Although it is not always present, the doer of the action in the passive voice is introduced by the preposition by. Example, active voice. The teachers prepare the materials for their classes. Passive voice. The materials were prepared by the teachers for their classes. In the given example for the active voice, the subject, teachers, is the doer of the action. In the example for the passive voice, the subject, materials, is not the doer of the action, but the receiver of the action, as the doer is found in the predicate. Let's check if you can distinguish the active voice from the passive voice by answering this task. Write A if the statement is an active voice and P if it is in passive form. Write your answers on your paper. Number 1. The doctor visited her patients in the hospital. The statement is in its active form. The answer is letter A. Number 2. The medicine was administered by the nurse to the patients. You are right. It is in its passive form or letter P. Number 3. The lesson was delivered in a well-planned session. Again, you are right. The sentence is in its passive form or letter P. Number 4. Mr. Fenicher reminded the teachers to submit their reports. Because the doer is a subject, the answer is active voice, letter A. Number 5. The fire prevention report was drafted by Edwin. The receiver of the action started the sentence, so it is in its passive form, letter P. Number 6. Bae's chin underwent a medical procedure yesterday. Have you noticed if there is the doer of the action? If not stated, then the answer is letter P, passive voice. Number 7. The seeds were distributed as part of the urban farming project. The answer is P, passive voice. Number 8. Vivian dedicated her life to serving her husband. The doer is the subject of the sentence, so it is in active voice, letter A. Number 9. Mike's car was bought from a car shop last month. Again, you are right. The sentence is in its passive form or letter P. Last item, number 10. The president ordered the arrest of lawless citizens. And the answer is letter A, active voice. Well done, class! Now remember that voices of the verb focus on the function of the subject being either the doer or performer or the receiver of the action. The active voice occurs when the subject of the sentence acts as the performer or doer of the action, while the passive voice indicates that the subject of the sentence is the receiver of the action. Now read the given sentences. The complete subject of each sentence is in italics. Write D on the space provided if the subject is the doer of the action and R if it is the receiver of the action. Number 1. Jacob received the tablet given by his school. The italicized word is the doer of the action. The answer is D. Number 2. Jenny read Twilight in one sitting. The answer is D. Number 3. 8 pieces of buttered shrimps were eaten by Sen during dinner. Right! The answer is R. Number 4. His assistance was requested by the neighboring countries. The answer is letter R. Number 5. The city council is signing an agreement. You're right, it's letter D. Now let us try transforming a verb from active to passive and vice versa. In transforming a verb from active to passive or vice versa, take note of the tense of the verb. If the verb in the active voice is in the present tense, the passive voice should also be in present tense, and vice versa. However, the form of the active verb as to S or simple forms vary depending on the number of the subjects. In the passive voice, the passive verb is in the past participle form, and it is always introduced by the different forms of the auxiliary verb be. Active. The homeroom teacher conducts a survey. The subject homeroom teacher is singular. The verb is also singular, conducts, which is in its simple present tense. Passive. A survey is conducted by the homeroom teacher. The verb conducted is in its past participle form and is introduced by the verb be, which becomes is, which is also in its simple present tense. Stay active, class! Listen carefully to the following key points. Simple present tense, active voice. Jason prepares his meals. Passive. His meals are prepared by Jason himself. The verb in the active voice is prepares, which is in its simple present tense. Notice that in the passive voice, the passive verb prepared is in past participle form and is introduced by the simple present form of the auxiliary verb be, which is are, because the subject meals is in its plural form. Note that the auxiliary verb depends on the number of the subject in the passive voice. Active. Jason prepares his meal. Passive. His meal is prepared by Jason himself. In the passive voice, meal becomes the subject, and it is singular, so the auxiliary verb will agree to the number of the subject. Simple past tense. Active. Ethan informed his clients on the status of their order. Passive. His clients were informed by Ethan on the status of their order. The verb in the active voice is informed, which is in its simple past tense. When transformed into passive voice, the passive verb informed is in its past participle form and is introduced by the auxiliary verb were, which is in its simple past tense. That also agrees to the number of the subject, clients. Simple future tense. Active. The students will submit their report tomorrow. Passive. Their report will be submitted by the students tomorrow. In simple future tense, notice that the verb in the active voice is will plus infinitive submit, while in the passive voice, it becomes will plus be plus past participle submitted plus by object. Present perfect tense. Active. The school has begun online classes. Passive. Online classes have begun in the school. Has begun is changed to have begun in the present perfect tense of the verb in the passive voice, for it agrees with the subject of the sentence in the passive voice. Past perfect tense. Active. The principal had given the teachers permission to run online classes. Passive. Permission to run online classes had been given by the principal to the teachers. The passive voice in past perfect tense becomes had been plus past participle plus by object. Future perfect tense. Active. Anthony will have baked the cake before he leaves. Passive. The cake will have been baked by Anthony before he leaves. Will have baked in the future perfect tense in active voice becomes will have been baked in the passive voice. Will plus have been plus past participle plus by object. Now let's convert the following sentences from active voice to passive voice. Write your answers on your paper. Number 1. The mayor declared a state of calamity. The passive voice of the given sentence is a state of calamity was declared by the mayor. Number 2. The students of the Barrio School visited the museum in the city. I'll give you time to think it over. And the answer is, the museum in the city was visited by the students of the Barrio School. Number 3. Our parish priest will officiate the Mass during our town fiesta. Correct! The transformed sentence would be, the Mass during our town fiesta will be officiated by our parish priest. Number 4. Her mother prepared cups of coffee for her classmates. Right! The answer is, cups of coffee were prepared by her mother for her classmates. Number 5. The governor ordered the closure of all provincial borders. Awesome! The correct answer is, the closure of all provincial borders was ordered by the governor. Now let's convert the following sentences from passive voice to active voice. Write your answers on your paper. The pyramids were built by Egyptians from 2550 to 2490 BC. The answer is, the Egyptians built the pyramids from 2550 to 2490 BC. A cup of coffee was prepared by the servant. The answer, the servant prepared a cup of coffee. The documents have been prepared by the clerks for the hearing. And the above sentence's active voice is, the clerks have prepared the documents for the hearing. Our bonuses are given by the management in November. The active voice is, the management gives our bonuses in November. Our papers were accepted by the secretary. Fantastic! You are right. The secretary accepted our papers. Next task is to write A if the statement is in active voice and P if it is in passive form. Then transform each statement from active to passive and vice versa. Number 1. Noli me tangere is considered by experts as an enlightening novel? The sentence is in its passive form. Its active form would be as follows. Experts consider Noli Me Tangere as an enlightening novel. Number 2.
The terraces were built by our ancestors.
The answer is P, and its active form is
Our ancestors built the terraces.
Number 3. Catriona Gray won the Miss Universe 2018 title. The answer is A. Its passive form is the Miss Universe 2018 title was won by Catriona Gray. Number 4. The Philippines can claim sovereign rights over Benham rice. The answer is A. Its passive form is sovereign rights over Benham rice can be claimed by the Philippines. Number 5. The Spaniards colonized the Philippines. The answer is A. Its passive form is the Philippines was colonized by the Spaniards. You did great, class. All right, I hope you learned a lot today. Let's all uplift each other, especially during these trying times. In the upcoming couple of episodes, we'll further explore and use the passive and active voice meaningfully in varied contexts. All that and more only here on DepEd TV. This has been Mamutya, and I definitely gotcha! See you again in our next English class. Bye! Stay safe and have faith. Miss the previous episodes of my subject? You don't have to worry because I definitely gotcha. Just like and subscribe to DepEd TV's official YouTube channel.